What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Joey, the lawn boss Makrowski, filling in for the birthday boy Titus, who decided turning 35 was more important than his friends. And joining me tonight, it's Chris, the stats man. Gorman, hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey. My stat I got is the Timberwolves have a 103.9 offensive rating with Cat and Gobert so far on the floor this season. It would be third worst in the NBA, only behind the two LA teams, the Lakers and Clippers. Clippers, who have the worst offensive rating in the league right now.
All right. And also our celebrity guest, Anthony. Anthony, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Thanks for joining us and filling in,
Thanks
making us whole this week. Yeah. And of course, lastly, our super producer, Adam. Adam, give us that candy bar hot take.
Milky Ways are just less sophisticated Snickers.
Spitting facts.
Right?
Absolutely facts.
There's a stat for you.
That is a stat. The stat would have been how many Milky Ways does it take to make a Snickers bar?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. We'll be looking forward to it at the end.
Oh, God.
All right, well, let's get into it. We're in week 2 here. We've got our 5-pack of questions as we've become accustomed to doing. We'll start off with a very broad question, kind of our bread and butter here. Through week 2, biggest surprise so far in the NBA, player, team, event, anything you got. Anthony, let's get us started.
I'm going to go with the Jazz and the Spurs. I mean, like we spoke earlier, I just feel like both of those teams are supposed to be tanking this year to get that top pick, and they're both, Jazz are 6-2, the Spurs are 5-2. So I'm shocked today they're even winning some games. I'm sure it won't last too long just because it's a long season. But I'm pretty surprised at how well they're doing, especially the Spurs, because I could barely name anyone on their team. So, good for them, but I don't expect it to last, especially the Spurs, much longer.
Yeah, it's a good point. So do you think at any point in the season there comes like an actual effort to tank, right? Because they're, as you said, 6-2, 5-2, and you've got, Orlando, Houston, Indiana, Sacramento. There's some teams that are pretty far behind them. The Lakers, I guess, technically are pretty far behind them already. Do you think that they really, they're going to have to make a concerted effort here, right? And the NBA has said they're watching for tanking. They're not supporting it. Do you think that they're actually going to make an effort here?
As far as the league or the team?
Is the team going to actually try and
I feel like the Jazz probably trying to make some more moves, maybe try to get rid of Clarkson and Conley. Especially Conley's a veteran. I don't think he really wants to play on a rebuilding or a bad team. He wants to contend for a title. So I could see them trying to move him in this season. But the Jazz have all those draft picks. I don't think they want to compete for a playoff spot because they're not going to win. So
yeah, I think Clarkson's that's a good point. They're going to have to do something because they're clearly winning and they're winning easily. So they've got to.
And Laurie's killing, like we said too. So
yeah, and I'm guessing he's probably going to be a hard trade piece. Maybe not though. I don't know what the rules are for trading players in midseason that have already been traded. You probably can, right? Just can't trade him back to the same team.
Yeah, I think he could trade him somewhere else.
He can do it whenever, right? Yeah. It's not like signing a guy like Ayton can't be traded until February.
Got it. So maybe his value is pretty high then. Maybe Laurie's a piece. They're like, this guy's winning too much. He's gone.
Send him back to the Bulls.
Send him back to the Bulls.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Pat Williams for Laurie Marketing straight up. Pat Williams, it has to be like a pick and some other stuff.
Kobe White for Larry Marketing straight up. Done.
Yeah, Kobe's out of here anyway. So
yeah, he is.
No,
hopefully. Well, somebody wants him. Be perfect in Utah.
Right.
He'd win you some games, but lose you a lot of other games. All right, off that. Chris, biggest surprise through week 2. What
piggybacking on Anthony's picks of Utah and the Spurs. Utah is a fun team to watch right now, guys. Their Memphis games, they beat the 124-123 without Ja Morant, which okay, you don't have Ja, maybe you can sneak one out against Memphis. They play Memphis 2 days later again in Memphis. Again, I love the NBA schedule of the back-to-back, the kind of the baseball kind of thing they're doing here. And Ja Morant gets 37 points, but it was like a 20-point game at one point with the Jazz up in the fourth quarter, and they just blew them out. And it's incredible what the Utah Jazz are doing. It makes me feel like what they're doing actually seems more and more real. This team's they just have a lot of guys. We were talking before how it kind of reminds me of that Phoenix Suns team. I think it was 2013 with Eric Bledsoe, Isaiah Thomas, and Brandon Knight, who got 48 and 34. And that, Phoenix now is doing well. So maybe this is the right road for the Utah Jazz to take. I'm kind of curious. What do you guys think? Is it better to try to win like Utah is, or is it better to just like, okay, no, we got to lose 30 games in a row? Let's suck, because it's kind of good for morale in a way. Some of these guys are going to be here at least in the next couple of years. I feel like what Utah is doing is actually kind of more beneficial than just trying to tank and get, have that 40% chance at Wembanyama.
Yeah, I think there's two types of like bad teams, right? There's the bad team that's young and kind of built out of the draft. And there's the bad team, supposedly the bad team that's like kind of veterans. I think the Jazz are full of guys who've been around the league for a long time. With Clarkson, Conley, market enemies, 5-6 years. They're not ready. They've been in the situation long enough. They know how to play. They know how to win. Like it's hard for them to just go out there and like be bad. Whereas you have a young team, like they're talented, but they do make a lot of bad mistakes. Defense is lacking, rotations, all that kind of stuff. And like, it's very easy for a team like, Houston or Orlando to lose a lot of games without, intentionally losing games. You just make the lineup kind of fit. Like Utah built a lineup that on paper was like, yeah, they don't have a superstar. They shouldn't be that great, but they've got some guys. They've got the superstar. They got some guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the Jazz have a lot of veteran.
Yeah.
They have the veteran guys, so that they want to win. So
right.
I mean, they don't want to like just tank and just lose the season. They have those veteran guys. They want to win every game. So I'm expecting them to compete. The front office might think otherwise, maybe trying to trade them later on in the season. But the vets definitely want to win because that's what they want to do. Of course,
that's the thing. Like Jordan Clarkson's 30. I think he's like 31, 29 or something. Laurie's 25, 60 in the league. These guys, like you said, they want to win. The front office can't just straight up trade everyone. I guess maybe they could. I know for the Spurs, Jakob Poeltl's name is in the market. That guy would fetch maybe a couple first round picks right now. I think
Jakob,
because he's been killing it against Minnesota. 3 games. Minnesota, by the way, one thing I didn't notice or point out, and this is kind of relevant because Minnesota's played these teams 4 times already of the 8 games. Minnesota is like the second hardest strength of schedule this year so far. Of course, going into the season, it looked like they would have the easiest for the first 7 games, but
based on how the Spurs have gone, that's wild.
The Spurs and Jazz, man, they're the 2 most exciting teams. And the Blazers. We didn't even mention the Blazers, but anyways.
I was going to say the Blazers too. I mean, they're one of the top teams in the West, and I know Dame is out with injury, so
and they're still playing.
They're still playing pretty well. So it's definitely a surprise.
Simons.
Yeah,
Shane Sharp. I think it was Chauncey Billups who mentioned him. He compared him to Vince Carter and Brandon Roy, B-Roy the boy, the other day. It's kind of surprised about that, but who knows?
My biggest surprise is actually a stat, Chris, and it's from your team, Minnesota. I saw today that Anthony Edwards hasn't dunked yet this season.
Saw that.
And
he hasn't completed a dunk. Dude, against the Spurs defended him so freaking well. It was really irritating.
That's
figure it out a little bit.
And then his quote, everybody's in the lane, big guys. I mean, it's valid. It was just kind of caught me by surprise to the letter of the question that I couldn't believe that he hadn't completed a dunk yet for a guy who threw down some pretty monstrous ones last year. That's
a depressing stat. I appreciate you pointing that one out, Joey.
You're welcome. Anytime, buddy.
Comment about our Jazz from Nathaniel Schwarzbeck. Okay.
Schwarzbeck.
There are teams worse than the Jazz is in the West, but the Jazz brass want to be worse. That is true. Danny Age and the Mormon faithful out there in Utah want to be as bad as possible, but
it is very true, Daniel. But they built the wrong team, I think, to be the worst. Unfortunately.
Oh wait, I want to make sure we get this other comment in there.
Yeah,
Armida my birthday grandson.
Good question. Grandma Dominguez. Titus decided he wanted to celebrate his birthday solo and not join us for the podcast. So you make sure to give him a hard time for leaving us hanging without our fearless leader this week. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Oh man! All right, well, let's move on to our next question. All right, moving into kind of some team talk here. So, Miami or Brooklyn, who finishes with a better record come end of the season? Miami starting off 3-5, Brooklyn 2-6. Both kind of dealing with some early season struggles, some on the court, some off the court. A whole lot to talk about in these here. So, Chris, get us started.
Yeah,
Better
I was
record,
thinking,
Miami or Brooklyn?
So the more I was thinking about this question, can I add a team to this? The
Sure.
76ers.
We've only had these questions posted for 8 hours, but go for it, man. 76ers.
76ers. Dude, fuck the 76ers. I'm so out on the 76ers after Joel Embiid posted his Aaron Rodgers thing on Instagram. And, cool, he's 12-0, I guess, against the Bulls. But, man, the way he flopped around, he fouled DeMar DeRozan at the end of the game.
He did, absolutely.
It was just a game of free throws for the last 5 minutes. It's like, is this what Philly does? This is why nobody likes Harden, and people are going to not like Embiid as much. So I think, and the Sixers just lost to the Wizards without Embiid, and Porzingis got 30 tonight. But I am super low on the Sixers, even lower than maybe I even was last week. The Heat are 3-5, and the Heat are like that team where, and I keep explaining this every week, where you look at them on paper and they don't look good. Max Strus is like their sixth man. It's like, I don't know who Max Strus is. Why is he the sixth man? And the 3-5 almost kind of makes sense. But being that the Miami faithful, they'll turn around. Brooklyn, though, okay.
Get it, man.
What is
Get
happening here in Brooklyn? Steve Nash is fired. He's gone. He's dancing, away. He's happier now. There was Raja Bell was on Bill Simmons' podcast. He was saying how Nash looked miserable even in the first year when they were good. So I think Nash is in a better place now.
Should we back up and do kind of a timeline for the Nets here, just for anybody who doesn't
do you have
know?
a timeline? Yeah.
Well,
here.
So I roughly can go.
We have time for that.
So let's see. So middle of summer, Kevin Durant says, "Get rid of the coach and the GM, or I want to trade." Right. So that goes on for 2 weeks. It kind of simmers. They convince him to come back. Everybody comes back, happy, hunky dory. Right. Season starts. Ben Simmons is back. They're not good. Terrible defense. Ben Simmons supposed to be your defensive player, all kind of going bad. Ben Simmons then sits out 2 games in a row, takes 2 nights off with some knee pain.
Wearing cardigans. Dude, what's up with his outfits? It's very bright and just ugly on purpose.
His drip is weak.
Drip is weak.
While this is happening, Kyrie Irving is posting links to anti-Semitic documentaries and going in press conferences and arguing with Nick Friedel about all this. And then in the middle of all of that, I think maybe perfect timing, right, to be a great distraction from all of that, they come out that it's a mutual parting ways of Steve Nash, and everybody is doing this for the best. And an hour and 5 minutes after that happens, it leaks that Ime Udoka is rumored to be the front runner, and the contract is already kind of in the hands, and the Celtics have said he can interview. So in a span of 7-8 weeks, we've had a full swing of drama with the Nets. But yes, Steve Nash fired, and then they go into
I guess
game against the Bulls.
Officially, technically, it's still Yak Fan.
Yes.
But it's going to be Ime Udoka, because it was so the suspension was within the Boston Celtics. That's what I was confused about.
Correct. Like, it's a team-specific suspension. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't because of the league. So he's free. If he wants to leave, he can leave. Go to I can't believe another team wants him so quickly. But, here we go.
He's a good coach. I mean.
Hey, yeah, he did great. Maybe more details will come out about I don't know. Some rumors keep coming out. Well, whatever.
I hope so. I hope Boston just goes scorched earth on this if the Nets sign him.
If I'm the Celtics, I'm like, I would just hold on to him and not really no, he's staying. We're keeping him suspended. We're not going to let him look at another team until the offseason.
That's a good point.
I don't understand why they're letting him just go to the Nets, who is a contender to them. And
they can stop paying him. Probably. Are they paying him currently under suspension?
I think they fined him, but his salary is getting cut back. But I think he got fined a substantial amount. But I do think that even everything you said, Joey, but even before that, like the whole James Harden situation. I mean, James Harden was in Houston and he kind of like just quit and got fat, and then the Nets came and got him, and then it didn't work out with the Nets, and he kind of quit on him again, and then he went over to they traded him for Ben. And then even Kyrie, remember he said like, "Oh, we don't really need a coach. Kind of, we can like kind of collaboratively."
Like Steve Nash not the coach.
Team.
Yeah, we're all coaches.
So I mean, it's like it's been like all this drama the last 2 years, and I mean, I think Miami would have the better record just because I just trust the Heat's culture, and Spoelstra's a
God, the yin, the top and bottom of cultures. If you want to,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the Nets. I mean, I think they'll be a playoff team. I think they'll contend. But I think as far as right now, they have a lot of unanswered questions, and I don't know what to expect from them until maybe by like mid-year, mid-season.
I don't know if they will be a playoff team. Well, they're
playing team, maybe.
No, I don't even want to go down that. I actually still think they will be a playoff team just because there are so many bad teams in the East, and Kevin Durant is still very good at playing basketball. So
you know who I am, Kevin Durant.
Santi's one vote for Miami. Chris, are you Miami as well?
Yeah, I went Miami. I wanted to put Phil. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Let's just Miami. Yeah.
I think I'm with Miami as well. I guess to kind of pose another question off of this. So, do you guys think Brooklyn keeps Kyrie through the entire season, or do you think he is traded come February? So he's a free agent. He's a free agent at the end of this season. I would say the Nets probably not going to give him another max deal.
Honestly, I don't know who wants him, to be honest, other than the Lakers.
I think he's either traded or he's like sent away, like a John Wall situation in Houston.
Oh wow!
Where like he just we're tired of him. Like at some point, Joe Tsai's got to be like, okay, this is ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, but like he's not John Wall. Like you can't just tell him to go hang on at the end of the bench and like just stay quiet. Like that's not going to work. That's not going to happen.
That's true.
Yeah,
I don't know. Nathaniel Schwartzbeck, you got Armida. Let us know if you have a Kyrie
to take on that. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be somebody come February, right? Who's going to be like, we need 20 points a game if we can, and they're going to just look past everything that he is. And
the Lakers would be that team, right?
The Lakers would be the only team
offense.
Yeah, but the question is does Brooklyn? That's going to be wild. Like, do they want to actually take on Russell Westbrook?
And actually, the Lakers, this is the best case scenario for them because the trade was like I think Russell and probably the 2 firsts for Kyrie, right? So
something like that.
Trade value keeps going down.
Yeah,
for
it's better
Kyrie.
for the Lakers. It's probably Russ for Kyrie straight up at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not far off, right? It can't be getting far. Like the Nets have to be growing tired of having him on their team.
Yeah,
isn't like because they're both free agents after the season, so I guess they'll both be free to do whatever, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're restricted in any way, shape, or form, so they can sign with anybody for whatever they want.
Do as they please.
Do as they please. All the power in the world. All right, so Brooklyn is crumbling here, which is good because that's one more team out of the way for our fearless Chicago Bulls. But we'll go to the other side of the country. We'll go to the Western Conference here for our third question. Who's in more trouble? Golden State Warriors or the Los Angeles Clippers? The Warriors are 3-5 currently coming into this pod. They've lost 3 in a row to Miami, Charlotte, and Detroit. The Clippers are 3 of 4. Kawhi has been out for 4 games already. He's expected to miss 6 total and potentially more, but he is sitting out the entire road trip that they have coming up right now with some knee trouble, some knee pain recovery from his last injury and surgery from last season. So, Chris, who's in more trouble, the Warriors or the Clippers?
Yeah. So the stat I got is Kawhi has played 111 games in the last 3 seasons. Put that in perspective, Anthony Davis has played 143. We always talk about how Anthony Davis is hurt, and he has been hurt a lot. But like Kawhi, man, and he sat out the entire season last year. And the 2 games he played 21 minutes. He came off the bench. He comes in like 8 minutes into the second quarter. He looks great when he's playing. He is like 100% on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I am so concerned about the Clippers because we've never seen it with them. Paul George looks like a shell of himself in a way. Remember, do you remember last year? I said a thing where I felt like Devin Booker and Paul George can be in the same conversation for best shooting guard in the league. I just said it was like everyone was like, "Oh, it's Paul George," no matter what. Everyone's talking about Devin Booker being the best guy now. Paul George is kind of like, what is Paul George? He's more talented. He's the better player, but he's not producing as efficiently or as well as other guys are. So the Clippers, they have a lot of guys. They're supposed to be kind of like what the Spurs and the Jazz are doing. Just next man up. Batum, Morris, Jackson, Wall.
John Wall. Yeah.
Who else can I think of? I don't know. Oh, Kennard.
Luke Kennard.
Yeah, they got a lot of dudes, but they're just not. So I'm more concerned about the Clippers. The point is, the Warriors are gonna be fine. I know they're 3-5. They lost to Charlotte, but like, I'm not really that concerned even with the Draymond and Poole thing. I think that's been put aside a little bit more. So,
okay, so Clippers are doomed. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Clippers. I mean, not the Warriors. I'm not really worried about them. I just feel like they're a championship team. They're just kind of like going through the motions of the season. I mean, it's early on. I feel like once we get mid-season or later on, they'll be firing how they should be, and I think they'll be back in the Western Conference Finals or the Finals. I mean, the Clippers I'll be worried about just because, I mean, Kawhi didn't play all of last season. He was out, and he comes back, and he's already when he played 2 games, he's missing the next 6 games with the knee issue. I mean, without him, you might make the playoffs, maybe a play-in team, but you're not going to compete for a championship. So I'll be really, really concerned if I'm a Clippers fan of him already missing games. So I would definitely say that the Clippers are the team to be more worried about.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn because I think the trouble plaguing the Clippers is scary. I also think, though, I think there's less pressure. I think, right? Like there's plenty of pressure on them, just in terms of a lot of people are talking about them being title favorites and stuff, but they don't have kind of the resume that the Warriors have. Looking at Golden State, like what's kind of been their bread and butter over the years, right? It's really hot shooting and pretty consistent stout defense. And the shooting has been pretty much Steph all season. And the defense has not been as consistent, I feel like, as you would come to expect from them. Draymond kind of doesn't look like the Draymond of old. And maybe it's just because he's getting old. But I'm a little bit nervous about the Warriors, a little bit nervous about kind of a championship hangover. I hate to say this, but Chris, me and you both took Phoenix, I think, as unders in their over/under, and
I know, and they're 6-1.
They look like they're gonna blitz. They're gonna blitz that out of the water. But I say that, and just that there's a lot of other teams I think that are kind of gunning for them, and they've got more of a target on their back now that they've won again. So I'm slightly nervous about the Warriors, just more so that they have a bit of pressure on them, and I'm curious to see if they can kind of deliver it. They have in the past, but this one just feels a little bit off for me.
That's a good point. And actually, like with we're worried about Kawhi, and it's just November right now, right? Like if he's still having knee problems in February, maybe it's a bigger issue, but maybe we shouldn't be as concerned.
Well, I mean, he's been off the whole off season, so I mean, him to play a couple games and he's hurt already. I mean, that's kind of concerning. I mean, I think the pressure's more on the Clippers, in my opinion, because it's every year we're like, oh, the Clippers are going to be, this is their year. Everybody's in full strength. They're going to like compete. And then I feel like year after year, they kind of disappoint. They were in the bubble. They kind of choked against the Nuggets. And,
right.
I feel like the pressure's on the Clippers, because after this year, if they don't compete for the championship, what do you do for next year? Do you just do it all over again? Or do you kind of like,
well, when do they get their stadium? Is it like in 2024? I don't even know.
That's when it matters. That's when they gotta hit it.
But like by then,
point well taken.
By then, Kawhi would be almost 35, and Titus can't even make the pod tonight, so I can't imagine what Kawhi would be like.
That's great. We got another question here from Nathaniel. Good one. Better debate. Who means more to a team, Kawhi or Kyrie? Kawhi never plays. Kyrie only cares about himself. That's
like-
a good question.
Sorry, you can take it first.
No,
I was gonna say Kawhi means more, obviously, because the glove, the 7'3" wingspan, the dude's lanky as fuck, and he's got the longest hands I've ever seen, or fingers you've ever seen, right? But the thing is, he's not
that's why
playing.
he matters more. He's got big
He matters
fingers.
more, but he's not playing. And Kyrie only cares about himself. But like Kyrie's defensive woes really came out in that Boston series when they got swept. I kind of want to take Kyrie just to take care, but it's Kawhi. Like it's the better. Who means
I
more to
agree,
a
Kawhi,
team? You want, if you can get somebody like Kawhi, it's like AD. You can get these big, long guys who play really good defense and can shoot. Even if they only play 50 games a year, they're still more valuable than even if Kyrie played 82. I think the 50-game guy would be more valuable for come playoff time.
Yeah, I'll be devil's advocate here, and just this kind of more applies to last season. But Kawhi was out last season. Clippers were kind of okay, right? So last season, Kyrie was out last season for a while, and the Nets were pretty trash. On the counter of that, he's in this season, and the Nets are also pretty trash. So, Nathaniel, I can't answer your question. I think they're both not great for their teams. And
I hate both of these teams.
I'm just going to ride with that because that's how I feel tonight. That's where we're at. I'm the host. I can do what I want. All right. Let's go on to
Anthony, what's your...
Oh, sorry, Anthony.
I would say Kawhi just because I just feel like he's more impactful on both ends of the court, and Kyrie he puts the ball in the bucket, but I mean on the defensive end he's kind of non-existent, and that's pretty
also
much it.
he likes to repost Alex Jones, and
that too. Yeah,
there's a lot of off the court with Kyrie that I don't even care to really get into.
It all started with the world is flat. And
those were good times. That was fun, right? That was
easier times, right?
Yeah.
The world is so flat to him. He found the edge and he's walked off of it. Right? He's fallen off the edge of his own flat earth. That's where he's at.
It's brutal what he's been doing.
It's bad.
Oh.
All right, ready for the next question?
All right, it's the most Joey question.
All right, let's get into our true love and passion here. We're all from Chicago. Only one of us lives here still.
That's true.
All right. So into the Bulls. Can the Bulls overtake Atlanta and Toronto throughout the season? I'm posing this because I think as of right now, so far this season, I think probably preseason, those are the two teams that you'd probably consider their biggest kind of competition right there in the middle 5-6, 4, 5, 6, 7 range or something like that. A few stats. So the Bulls are 4-4. Just a little bit over. So what is this? 1.3 plus minus. Atlanta Hawks are 4-3. They're actually a negative 0.9 plus minus. And then the Raptors are at 4-3, and they have a 3.3 plus minus. So, Anthony, can the Bulls do it? Are they going to usurp the Hawks and the Raptors at some point this season?
I will say that they have the potential to do that if Lonzo comes back some point this season, and if Patrick Williams can, step up. I think we haven't seen this team.
I had $1 for every time.
I know. I just think that we haven't seen this team fully healthy. I think even last year when Lonzo was healthy, I think P. Will was out. So it's like we haven't seen this team at full strength yet. So, I mean, I would love to say, like, if we can get healthy, we can be better than both of those teams. But, I mean, as of right now, as the teams are right now, I would say no, just because, they're not, Bulls aren't full strength. But they have the potential too, I would say yes. If Lonzo comes back, hopefully he comes back by end of year or top of the year, maybe. I don't really know what the progression is with him. But, and then if Ayo can continue to play well as a starter until Lonzo gets back and kind of tread the waters, I think we have the potential to, compete with those guys and overtake them.
Chris, what do you think?
So originally I was thinking the Bulls cannot overtake Atlanta or Toronto, but really thinking Lonzo's out. and Patrick Williams is looking better. I mean, he's looking great right now. He's got 36 of 7. Recency bias here for Patrick Williams. A lot of hope. I don't think they can overtake Toronto. I'm still really high on Toronto. They have 5 guys that can score 15 plus points a night at the same time. It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to see. Scotty Barnes has been a great point forward on this team. Fred VanVleet has the lowest drop off, or has the highest drop off in usage rate year over year at a 7.7% drop. I saw that earlier today. He had like a 33 last year.
Will for 3. Wow.
So that's great to have a usage rate drop like that and to have more team basketball happening for Toronto. Bulls can maybe overtake Atlanta. I don't know. I haven't watched Atlanta much yet, but like
everything's been very quiet out of Atlanta, right? There was a little bit of talk early on, but it's kind of quieted down.
Yeah. So
going on down there.
You know, DeJounte Murray and Trae Young are doing their thing with DeAndre Hunter's doing okay. The team's doing fine, but I think Chicago maybe overtake Atlanta, but Toronto's awesome. No.
I fully agree with that. I think Toronto's going to be tough. I feel like they're built like the Bulls with more consistency, right? They've got a decent amount of household names, but they're just, I don't know. You trust them more, right? You trust Toronto, I think, more to deliver night in and night out. The Bulls are going to have those nights where they come out and Zach scores 20 in the fourth quarter like he did last night, and he's going to have games where he scores, 0 points in the fourth quarter and goes 0-4 and takes really bad shots. Like you're going to have those kinds of nights with them. So I don't think they're going to pass Toronto. I think Atlanta is a fair comp. Again, I think that's an inconsistent team, right? They've got the household names and the star power, but there are times where you're going to get some kind of duds from them. I do have a question. I was thinking about this throughout the day, and I didn't want to post it to the group message because I didn't want you guys get you guys all riled up. But so Anthony, you mentioned, right, Lonzo comes back, Bulls are a completely different team. Everything changes up. So Titus is about this a lot, and it's, what are the Bulls going to be this year, and kind of what are they going to be going forward? And we haven't come to an agreement of what that looks like yet. Like, are they a play-in team, or are they actually like a legitimate team here? But with all this run up that Io's getting, and he's performing well, right? He's playing really good. He's giving you everything he can. He's kind of, falling into an actual point guard. His defense is strong. Is he Lonzo, a couple years earlier? And if the Bulls aren't destined to be competing in the next year, do you need Lonzo back as bad as we think we need Lonzo back?
It's a good one. I mean, if Io steps up and plays great, then I guess we don't really need Lonzo. I think we still need him on the defensive end. He can shoot the ball, but if Io comes in and plays well, we won't miss him as much. I think he's progressing well, and it's only his second year, and I expect him to only get better. So I just hopefully he can, take over not take over the job, but just take over. He could be the starting guard, and then if Lonzo comes back, then we have two. Eventually, I guess Io might move back to the bench, and Zoe will start at some point again, and then we'll just have a 1-2 punch of the backcourt, and like Kobe White's probably not going to be here after this year anyway. So we have our backup and starter, but I just think a lot of question marks around Lonzo. I know he said he couldn't even really run on his leg right now. So we don't know what to expect from him. We just hope the best, to be honest.
Yeah, just for reference, and I don't have an opinion either way. Like I can't be swayed really on this one. Io this season shooting 43% from 3, 53 from the field, averaging, let me see, scroll, 13 points a game. Everything's about where it should be, which is why it kind of made me think about it, because like Lonzo's 40% 3-point shooter. The defense is there. The experience is missing, but I guess my probably initial thought is, yeah, he's probably a great he's probably a great bench point guard for another year because you're probably not going to have Dragic after this season. I would assume that's not going to be a long-term thing. So
Dragic has been fantastic.
he has been fantastic. He's on a 1-year deal. I don't think I don't think
he'll be one and done with the team probably.
Right. Like if Lonzo comes back healthy at some point this season and you're confident that that's going to be the case, like going forward, you're not going to carry 5 point guards or 4 point guards, right? In the next season, it's going to be Lonzo, Io, and Caruso.
I think the best thing.
The thing is, if Io continues to do well, there won't be a big of a drop off when, like, Lonzo goes to the bench and Io takes over. Because some teams, you have a point guard, they go to the bench and they have the second unit guys coming in. It's kind of a drop off, and if Io can kind of continue to go up at his progression, I think he can, be on that same level as Lonzo. He's, like I said, it's only his second year, so he has a lot of potential to be better.
The thing with Lonzo though is what a steal. It's funny because we knew about him at U of I too, right? We watched.
Yeah, I can't wait to do the redraft of last season because that's.
Yeah. But it's great. Even when Lonzo hopefully eventually comes back, it kind of lessens the pressure that would be holding on him if we didn't have someone like Io. If it was Kobe at the starting point guard, we'd be like, "Oh my God, Lonzo, where are you?" And with Io, it's like, you know what? Take your time, Lonzo. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's actually made Kobe more expendable than actually.
He's always been. Let's stop.
Yeah.
He's been expendable.
Thank you. Finally,
Jesus. He's looked good early though. He had a couple. He hasn't made a 3 yet this year.
It's episode 76.
Is he really not?
Oh wait, no,
76,
sorry. Wrong stats.
You finally admitted that Kobe White has always been expendable.
He's looked more explosive than he had in previous years.
He has. Yeah, you were right. He has shot more freely and shot better. He's been more in control too, but they finally found the best role for him. There's zero pressure for him to actually be a ball handler, and it's all about scoring.
The thing is, Goran Dragic is doing what we were hoping Kobe White would do. Right.
Like and that's left Kobe just open to shoot the ball. So
yeah. Anyways.
All right. Question number 5. Now that we've gone through all of our teams, let's get to an individual question here. Most likely to be an all-star very early in the season. Let's start talking all-star game. Most likely to be an all-star this season. The catch is, though, it's got to be a player who didn't have a lot of press, a lot of hype to start this season off. Chris, you've been
I already have the player. I'm trying to find another player.
Oh, just go with the easy
it's
one.
Lauri. It's Lauri Markkanen, guys. Like this guy, what are they doing on Dallas right now? Real-time analysis right here. 61-49 on Dallas right now. Recency bias again. Wow. Still, what Lauri Markkanen is doing is what we always thought he would do in Chicago. We were all high on Lauri, the finisher, with Chicago. My daughter, who's 4 years old, still has a 2-year-old jersey with Lauri Markkanen on the back because I was that high on Lauri, and it was the only jersey they sold at Target was a Markkanen jersey.
It's a number 24.
Yeah,
the 2T24. Yeah,
it's 2T24, and he's finally, because remember every offseason, or not every offseason, but some of the offseasons whenever he went back to Finland to play on their team. It's like, oh, Lauri's lighting it up in Finland. And then he would come back and he would kind of, be okay, play 50 games, whatever. This year, he's killing it this time. He's averaging 22 points a game. Will he play more than 60 games? I guess we'll find out. But it's Lauri, man. I'm excited for him. Like, let's go.
Can't argue with that. Lauri Markkanen, easy person to put in there. Anthony, anybody different to toss in?
I had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
You stole mine.
He's putting up 31, almost 5 rebounds, almost 7 assists. And I think the Thunder are 5-4 or something like that. So,
4-3, yeah.
4-3, okay. So, I don't expect them to, be a playoff team, but if they can be like a 500 team or close to it, he can get consideration for all-star.
If he averages 30 plus a game, even 25, he has to be an all-star, right? That's kind of
if he's averaging now, he's a guarantee to get it no matter how bad the team is. How can you not put someone in with that numbers? But
it's gonna be crazy though. He's not gonna be a starter because of the guard play.
Oh yeah. It's hard to get a starting job, yeah. But Markkanen, I agree with Chris. He was definitely a surprise. Shai Gilgeous was like another surprise. I was looking at guys I didn't realize how well he was doing this year. So both of them potentially be all-stars. I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
yeah.
I had wrote down Shea as well. The stats are there. He's always been kind of flirting with it. I think it's always just been consistency throughout the season leading up to the All-Star game if he gets in. I don't see if he keeps up this type of production until January, there's no doubt he's getting in.
Yeah.
It will be a shame that he won't be one of the starters because of who.
I mean, Wiggins was a starter last year.
Who are but who are the guards of the Western Conference, right? Is he overtaking Ja? No. Is he overtaking Luka? No. Is he overtaking Steph? Booker, right? Like
even Lillard with Portland.
Yeah, Dame. Yeah.
Honestly, he actually might not be an all-star at this point when you just name all those guys. Like
you just listen to four guys.
That's actually hard.
Well, that's why Laurie might be a starter. If Wiggins can be a starter, Laurie can be a starter, right? Like,
well, Wiggins was a starter because the Warriors fan base got in and started voting. Like, is Utah fan base gonna?
It's a pretty. I don't know how massive it is, but it's pretty.
You know what? He might get the Chicago fan base because there are a lot of people on Twitter that are actually really missing Lauri Markkanen right now, and said that they would have given up Patrick Williams in a heartbeat, which I think is fine.
That's okay. There was an article I saw in Sports Illustrated today that said Lauri Markkanen is the reason why the Bulls should not give up on Patrick Williams, and I don't think they're the same comparison, obviously, at all. Like, I think they play the same position, and Patrick Williams is like 3 years younger. That's where the article.
How long are you supposed to wait for a guy to get good? I mean,
honestly, 5 or 6 years, in my opinion. And that's Lauri's in year 6.
I mean,
5 or 6 years for like a rotation player, like
but a rotation guy that could become what Lauri's doing, like kind of.
But if you put Lauri in a lot of other situations, do you still think he's doing what he's doing, right? I mean, he was in Cleveland for 2 years.
He was, but he was doing it in Cleveland.
He wasn't dropping 31. He wasn't dropping 31 a game.
Well, no, of course, what he's doing now is because he has more freedom.
Exactly.
He has more usage.
So, like, you put him back on the Bulls, he's not going to have that freedom, right? He's going to be doomed, just like Patrick Williams, where he's saying, "Hey, when Zach and DeMar are on the court, I struggle to get shots up because those guys get first right of refusal," kind of thing.
But the thing is, like, you kind of would rather have someone like Lauri over DeMar longer term. And I hate saying I hate being so low on DeMar.
What are you drinking over there, Chris? Come on.
Oh man.
What are you saying?
Let's have Lauri Markkanen over
Utah. Utah is might be 7-2 if they beat Dallas tonight, and Chicago is going to be 5-4.
I don't care.
With Lauri being the top guy in the West, so
the Bulls are up 20 tonight. Who do you think their top scorer is? Don't look, Chris.
I already know it's Patrick Williams. I've been following.
Let's try again.
Well, it's Goran Dragic, man.
Let's try again.
What do you?
It's Javonte Green.
Wow.
He's got 17 points,
it is,
17 points off the bench, 7 of 7 from the field.
3 for 3 from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
this is an example of a guy. This guy's in year 5. Well, he's a rotation guy. That's what you're saying, right? So 29.
What I was getting at was your point about DeMar. He's 2 of 9 from the field, 9 points tonight. So
that's why I'm like, I hate even saying it, but like, well, no, I would rather have DeMar than Lauri this season. I just miss Lauri, man.
We'll see. We'll talk again after when the season's over with how he's doing. It's only like 2 weeks in.
If Lauri's an all-star this year, I think I want to find where Jim Boylan lives and like just like really.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
The true
I don't want
to. Jim Boylan ruined him.
Like, holy shit, man!
That's probably
true. Tonight. I'm sorry for anyone who hates cursing. I've been cursing up a storm here.
He's hiding in a cellar somewhere, hoping Bulls fans don't remember who he is.
Is he like an assistant somewhere?
He was an assistant in Portland after he left Chicago, but I think that
wasn't he working with like the Team USA or something?
You know what? I actually think he still is. Now you say that, I think he's actually coaching like the U19 team or something, which is a terrifying prospect.
Our future is dim, guys.
The gold medals are never coming back.
Yeah, man.
It's all over. Let's see with Jim Boylan. That doesn't even say. Good. That's perfect. He's got no job, hopefully.
Yeah, it just says USA Basketball. It doesn't say anything about assistant jobs or anything. Weird.
All right. What's our 5? Anything else, Chris, Anthony? Got anything on your mind?
You guys think the Lakers are gonna compete any? Like, you think that's going on with them? Any opinions?
I will answer very quickly and say I said in our over/under pod that they weren't making the playoffs, and I still think that that's the case. I don't understand. I don't understand how a team like that creates a roster like that, and it just doesn't make sense. It's a league of 3-point shooting, and you have none of that, and you can't expect to have great success. Like LeBron and AD, they could average 95 a game together, and they're still going to lose more than half their games.
I just think that the front office poorly put this team together. As far as like, if you watch LeBron over his career, you see he usually has shooters around him. I mean, you look from Miami to Cleveland. I mean, even the Lakers, when they won the title, they had some guys that could shoot, and now they have like absolutely
Matt Ryan.
They have Matt Ryan who was doing like DoorDash or Uber Eats like last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's your best shooter, that's not going to work out. And I mean, I love Russ. I think he's a great player, but I just don't think he fits well with this team. Maybe him come off the bench, maybe that him working with the second unit might change, but they still can't shoot the ball. And you can't shoot the ball in this league, you're not going to win a lot of games.
They look good against Denver with Russ off the bench. He got 18, 8, and 8. And if he can, if he can accept that bench role, this team can maybe do something, because Russell in that role is perfect. That's exactly what he should be. With AD and LeBron and then Lonnie, Patrick Bev, and then who was the fifth guy? Whoever the other guy is for the Lakers, this team can win some games. I am not out on LA yet.
I still think they can compete for like a play-in spot, but I mean, to start the season 0-5 is you digging yourself a hole, and now you have to dig out when the West is just going to keep
getting better.
Games better above you.
Yeah, especially if the teams that we're going to be tanking are not actually tanking. So
exactly, I wish they would have just traded Russ to the Pacers for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner.
Well, they wanted the 2 first too.
I don't care, man. F those picks. Man.
F those picks. 27. What is it? You're 27, 28. That's crazy.
29. It's like every other year. Yeah.
It's so. It's wild. So, no, I still think the Lakers can be a play-in too. But yeah, obviously Joey's been out on them, and he's looking pretty good so far.
I might get one of my picks right, because the other ones, a lot of them are looking very bleak at this point.
What's one that came to mind that you're bleak on right now?
Phoenix, especially, is the very scary one. Utah and San Antonio are also.
No, Utah and San Antonio.
No,
I think I took the overs on them. There's only
San Antonio's like 22.5 or something. Like,
yeah,
that's, I think, very reachable at this point.
What was the Suns?
48. Yeah, 48
or 52. It was
52. It was a big drop from last year, and I just felt with all the turmoil with the Ayton nonsense, like they can't keep winning 60 games a season. Like, it has to change at some point, and apparently not. Apparently not. They just keep doing what they do.
I hate the Suns. I watched them I think it was last night or the night before, because they played Minnesota, and they just looked so good. Cam Johnson got 29.
I don't hate the Suns. Game. I hate Chris Paul.
I don't like Booker. It's just something about him.
You're kind of right. It's his face. No,
it's his face.
Something with his face.
It's just with his face, man. It's just right here.
And his hair, whatever.
Hair, no.
Let's get out of this.
All right, it's not a Suns fan. All right, we good? Wrap it up. All right. All right. Well, join us next week for more NBA basketball, and as always, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at the Box Out Boys. I was thinking, Nathaniel, thank you for jumping in, asking some questions this week. We really appreciate it.
Armida, hopefully Titus will be back next week.
Hopefully you texted Titus, found out where he's at. As always, slide into those DMs. Join us live Wednesdays at 8:30, and as always, send us an email to theboxoutboys@gmail.com. And if you could, subscribe to us wherever you listen to this podcast at. Until next time, box out.
We're still live.
Clicking. Okay.